we're starting, obviously, where we should start, and that's Eckles Hall. Ian Pennywell, what a brilliant show last night, the best by a country mile. I walked my dog to Ersden, standing outside the cannon in Eckles Hall. The lights were on, but I would never interrupt you all at work. Well, if all the lights were on, we hadn't started yet. That's the reality. You just get a feel about the place, and blimey, it delivered with bells on. Perhaps the boy I photographed was either Billy or Alan Jr. Now, Ian sent a photograph just after the first ghost hunt, when we weren't in Eckles Hall. We just told the story of Billy from outside, and he got a photograph of something that he thinks could have been Billy. Look at that. Now, I see two things. I see an anomaly actually at the window. If you follow my finger, I see a slight anomaly at the window. And I also see just a bizarre darkening of the stone. Now, what do you see, Tony?
Yeah, could be childlike, the little figure there. So that
do you
could
see
be
the
Billy.
window? What do you think of the window? Anything in the window?
Kind of below the sign to the right, you can it looks like a mini, I don't know.
A something, I know.
Yeah.
And just
definitely
a something
there. Definitely something there.
We were aware that there was a few things going past the window. Now, we looked inside, the windows were quite high. You literally had to step up onto something to see out the window. There's like a skirting board thing that sticks out that you have to stand on to be able to look out the window. From outside, if you move past the window, you're about 2 foot below it. So it can't be somebody, but it can be something. So I just thought that was quite fascinating. So thanks, Ian, for that. It delivered at so many levels. And the thing that we said yesterday, because we were plugging this show yesterday, Tony, and it was how this show at Eckles Hall got to you more than any other show we've ever done.
Yeah.
What was it about it that set you off? Because you were on edge right from the very beginning.
I just felt like something was following me around, because I was constantly in a cold air, and then I think just playing games with, really. I saw lights. Yeah. I opened the door that Kenny couldn't open. I heard clear stuff in the hall, which I've got a clip of. I don't know how well it came out, you see, but we all heard something when we were behind the curtain.
Well, the good thing was, and I make a point of, once I've done a show, I move straight on. I remember most things that happen, but I move straight on. It's the only way I can cope with just the multitude of things that we're doing these days. But the interesting thing was, everybody that mentioned anything and sent me messages, and I got a lot of messages, they all said, the great thing about this was, when you said, "Oh, do you see that?" more often than not, they could see it too. And when we said, "Did you hear that?" they said, "We could hear everything clearly." And I think it was because we were just essentially in one big square box. And that's why we presumed with Eckles Hall that we wouldn't get very much. I must admit, we did go in there and look at it, and it's not a lovely building. It is a lovely building indeed, and it's perfect for purpose. Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Eckles, JP. He's done a perfect job of creating like an old-fashioned church hall for the church that's over the road. But we're so used to having medieval towers and cellars and all of that. And we looked, and then we thought Boy Scout Hall, kind of, we're brownies. What are we going to get here? And yet, almost immediately, and right to the very last second, we got stuff. And we all came away going, well, we misjudged that place by an absolute mile. Now, I suppose you could argue, if you build somewhere on a place where massacre has happened, the massacre of innocent people, and we talked about what used to happen, and this happened in Kenny's Regression, when we've got a show on Robson's world called Walking in the Footsteps of the Braveheart. Now, in that, this is really how Kenny got sucked into the whole thing, because he wasn't involved prior. And I regressed him back to a previous life, and I go to his life in 3 separate places. And in one of those places, we learned what happened when either side left a lot of wounded enemy behind. They didn't say, oh, we must rush medical aid to these people. They said, well, what we're going to do with them? We can't leave them behind our lines and rush off and chase the living. So they used to give the kids, all the small children aged like 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, they would give them swords and say, go around, finish off anybody who's still alive, and then take their swords, any jewelry they had, anything of value, souvenirs of bloodied, wounded, and dying soldiers. It was a horrible thing, a horrible way to do it, but that was how it was done back in those dark, dark days. So Kenny, as a child in that regression, did exactly that. He went around finishing people off. And we learned a lot about those kind of battles. But if you build a Eckles Hall on a site where that kind of thing happens, you can understand how a place is stained in the way that that place was stained. So anyway, Tony, what other delights have you got from Eckles Hall?
The noises in the hall when we were behind the curtain. So you might have to turn it up if you've got your headphones in.
Hang on, I'm going to turn mine up as well so I can hear.
Turn it up, and this is the part here.
Right.
2 cars broke down on Newgate Street, and another car, both its headlights went off. And that all happened pretty much exactly the time we were all channeling towards the thing. So it's amazing. That was the most ghostly thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Did you hear that? It just kind of went. Ooh. You felt it move.
There you go.
What the hell is that? That's outside. That's in the hall. That's in the hall.
It's in the hall. Come join us. Come through the curtains.
Oh my God.
Come through the curtains. Come join us. Come through the curtains. Behind me. Come through the curtains.
That was creepy.
That was full on.
It's a weird thing. Having been in so many castles all over the world, haunted lighthouses, haunted cellars. I was buried in a coffin in Swallow, of all places, for an entire show. And a lot of it is edgy and your adrenaline's kind of pumping and your heart's dancing. That was one of those, and it's, for me anyway, because we do a lot of this, to me, that was a heart pumper for all of us. The thing that I liked most was sometimes, because Tony's concentrating on just the image that he's seeing on the camera, he's not actually necessarily, I don't mean this with any disrespect, Tony, but you're not always there in the moment.
Yeah, I'm too busy thinking about other bits.
That's right.
You know.
But the fact is, when he was recording that, you can hear him pretty much all the way through going, what the hell was that?
Yep.
Brilliant. Because you were in it. You were in the moment. And I do think
it was a great place. It really was.
Makes an absolute difference. Oh, you got some more. Hi, Necro Pig here. Hi, Necro. During part 2 of last week at 4:20 to 4:50, there are orbs around Alan that don't look like dust. Then at 22:58, you can clearly hear that bang. It sounds very obvious and deliberate. I presume you've got both those bits.
Yes, so we'll start with the first bit then. Okay. The video here.
Courtesy of Necro Pink.
Yes.
Oh, hello.
440
Oh, I
there.
see. I think
420
it's
there,
all part
sorry.
of the same thing. Does that go in? That looks like it does that. And you hang your rings on it and stuff. How about that? But that's,
Oh, yeah. I can see
there's
them.
no way
Yeah.
any of us would knock something as nice as that
Ooh,
off
there's
anybody's
another.
property. That just
Yeah.
went off of its own.
Oh,
But I kicked it 3 times and it
Flying
didn't go
from me.
through the
And
curtain
another.
because the curtain's down the floor.
Well, that's just after that noise as well.
I don't know whether it came from there, whether it could have been on the floor.
Can I put the ball on? Yeah.
But that's not going to set it off.
just before that, Tony, I don't know whether
Right.
it's well, you've got that image up. Can you spool back to that
Yeah, we were all.
that doll that was on the other side of the curtain?
took me
Because
3 kicks
I
to knock
have
it
no
through.
idea. Look, it's gone there now.
Have you brought a ball in here?
Yeah, it's around.
Whoop!
Oh,
There you go.
just get back so we can just watch it all.
Yeah.
I keep.
So we're nowhere
Tony,
near
there's
it.
something in the hole.
I've left the ball in there as well, mate.
Right.
So we come out, the three away. Oh,
Yeah, there's a ball on the step there.
Kenny,
there's that box.
have you brought a ball in here?
Where?
Whoop! Oh, look, it's there.
Where?
Is that what
How's
it,
that?
Where's that come from? Are you...
But,
What?
but it has to. It must have come under the curtain. I mean, that's impossible.
The curtain's
'Cause you-
close to the floor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right down the floor.
Unless it went over the curtain. It couldn't have went over.
No. How did it come out of the curtain, though? Honestly, I'm going to put this on the floor and kick it, Tony. Okay? Because all 3 of us were on the other side of the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to kick it now, okay?
Okay.
No, the curtain stops it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were all in the middle, yeah. It was weird.
It took me 3 kicks to knock it through.
But it's not even through, it's still there.
Oh, it's still there. Now that's
Maybe
clear
that was,
as steel
maybe that was a
because
sign the one would look at it or do something, I don't know.
and that was up here. Where was it? Do you know where it was?
I don't even know. I didn't knock it over or something, did I?
Well, you were out there. You were in the middle.
But still, how did it get under the curtain?
All 3 of us were in the middle of the curtain. You came through, and then there was a bang to the right, and it was out there.
Right.
But it was next to Sucky. Don't know whether that means anything. Right, come on, let's see if we can channel, shall we?
This was just like
down,
a
Ken.
groove, wasn't it, Tony? So it
If
was
that had fallen
this
off there.
led onto that, which led onto this, which led onto that, and so we go. And then we discovered the rest of that. And I think it's a thing that you buy to put rings on and necklaces and all that kind of thing. I think that's what it is. And they come in bits,
Yeah.
and then you build them up, and you keep all your jewelry all in one place. I think that's the point of it. But that sums up to me exactly what my memory of Eckles Hall will always be, which was you do a little bit, then something happens. You do a little bit, something else happens, and you do a little bit that leads on to this, and so it goes. We explained yesterday, Tony, because I knew you weren't with us, that at the end of the show at Eckles Hall, and we were talking to the 2 guys that allowed us to spend the time in there,
Yeah.
who I must admit, lovely people, absolutely lovely people. The one thing that stuck out to me that didn't make any sense, if it's a child running around in there, and I think we established it certainly was, possibly more than one, you can understand them wanting to play with the teddy, with Sucky, with balls, and that's exactly what happened, because the one ball in particular was the spirit's ball of choice, because it moved several occasions, and on a 4th occasion, it was actually off the stage. Now, if that ball had fallen off the stage onto hard wood, you would have heard the noise, wouldn't you?
True. Yeah.
I never heard that fall off the stage.
No.
The ball was
Same
off
here.
the stage on it would have to fall 3.5, 4 feet. And from where it was, it would have to move probably 5 feet in total. You would have heard it fall, you would have heard it bounce, you would have heard it settle. And we never got any of that either.
Would have echoed as well, because the whole,
We were getting every noise. But the thing that stuck out to us yesterday was that big, because it wasn't a pebble. There was a lump of, yes, it was a pebble, but it was a big mother flipping pebble. And it looked like it could have had some kind of markings on it. And I don't know, and I must admit, I have not looked at it, but if you think of a horseshoe and you add 2 pieces to the edge of the horseshoe, it looked like that. Don't know what that symbolizes. But the interesting thing was that when we mentioned that to the family that had allowed us in there, they said, oh, my mother, who works here at Eckles Hall, she gets pebbles and she paints designs on them. Now, that stone was not one of Mum's painted stones. And in the middle of everything we were doing, when we were all further up the hall, all 3 of us, from the bottom of the hall next to those doors that gave Tony the fright of his life, we heard this massive bang. Now, we'd been down there to that area, because let's face it, it's not a huge place. We covered every square inch of that place. There was no stone on the floor, full stop. There just wasn't. So the fact that it was there and made such a noise, and the door was open again after we'd closed it, because when we looked along, the end door was just open, just a little bit. So how it fell, where it fell from, what it was, we have no idea. I just found it amazing, because we didn't know that anybody connected to the hall had anything to do with pebbles and stones. And maybe whatever's there kind of likes the idea that they've got someone doing all of this that they can look at and enjoy. Who knows? Not exactly an exact science, is it? But I just thought the whole thing was absolutely fascinating. Let's go to Necropinks Part 2. Here we go.
Yeah, there was a lot of bangs at once. Yeah. It sounded like underneath to me. And it wasn't like a floorboard creaking, because it was banging. You would hear it.
Was that you? Did you stamp?
No.
I thought it was you.
No. I thought it sounded over there.
that was it. So I'll just go back so we can hear it again.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there was a lot of bangs at once. Yeah. It sounded like underneath.
No,
to me.
Tony.
And it wasn't
Tony,
like a
stop,
floorboard
Tony.
creaking, because
Stop, Tony. There's a ghost on the footage that you've just shown.
Right.
Go back 20 seconds, leave my mic on.
are the lights going off? Where? On the stage? What was that that's gone off there?
I didn't see it. What's
Oh, it's the
happened?
middle. Is that your Suki? Yeah, it just went off.
Suki.
Yeah.
Come on, Suki.
It just went off when Kenny banged on the floor.
Do it again.
Oh, man. It was here.
No.
What's going on?
What's going on?
It's
Tony, stop again. I'm sorry, but we're on it. We're on a gold trail here. Go back to when Kenny's just about to bang on the wall. And what I want you to listen. Right, leave it there. Just freeze it for a second. Now, when Kenny bangs on the window or gets close to banging on the window, listen very carefully for a noise that's a bit like this. I cannot do the actual noise, but there is a noise like that when he bangs the window. Turn up your speakery bits, your telly, your phone, your whatever you've got, wallop it up, and let's see if I was right about that. I might not be, but that's what I heard. Go for it. Just let it roll.
What's going on?
It's a child laughing.
I
Did you
heard
hear
something. Yeah, it was.
Take it
Definitely.
back. It's a child laughing. Take it back. We've got a child laughing on it. Loud.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is quite clear when you think of it.
Let's have one more. Turn your speakers up. It's a child laughing. This is why it pays to go over these things.
Wow.
It's
Unexplained.
a wee bit more.
Right now, the next thing you've got to look out for. Look at the stage now. Do you see the black mass growing?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a lot of bangs at once.
Now wait.
Yeah.
There's the
It
ghost.
sounded like
Oh,
underneath
I did
to
see
me.
that. Yeah.
Go back. Show them the ghost. That is a ghost.
Give it a wee bit
Right in
more.
the middle.
You see the black mass? Look at it. Look at the black mass. It's growing. Then to the right of
There was a lot
it,
of bangs at once.
it walks through.
Yeah.
There it
It
is.
sounded like underneath to me.
Yeah. The black mass, I
It
think, is
wasn't
the
like
smoke,
floorboard.
but you can definitely see something in the middle of it.
No, this is the reason you put the smoke on.
Yeah.
Because the black mass is the smoke. It's to catch things in it, and you can clearly see the figure walking away from the smoke towards the camera. So that's the smoke. Brilliant. Makes sense. Look at the smoke. Bit further, and you'll see the figure move from one side to the other, and then it's moving to the right.
Yeah.
There it is.
It sounded like underneath to me.
How about that?
And it wasn't like a floorboard creaking because it was banging.
And then Necropink
You would
clips
hear it.
around now. So
Right. Oh, there you go.
Because it was banging. You would hear it.
there.
That was it. Because Kenny's just checking those doors like he did from time to time because
Was that you? Did you stamp?
I thought it was you.
No. I thought it
oh, Orbs as
sounded
well.
over there,
Yeah,
but I
just
thought it
one
must
orb
be
there.
you because it was an obvious stamp. No, that was me. That was me. I just did that. But it was louder than that, I think. What?
How about that
Whatever
though?
he is messing.
Why though?
If it's a kid, they might just be playing.
Well, through the teddy bear?
Yeah.
Now, we just looked at a couple of clips that you guys have pointed us towards, and all of that was just mind-blowing. The laughter of the kid, it's a child laughing, isn't it?
That's yeah. I mean, that's unexplained. Really, that.
Well done, you guys at home. You see, this is the reason why, and I know a lot of people, and this is not your fault, I'm not blaming you. I am a bit. We get a bit blasé with this stuff because we know the TV ones are all fakey. Fair enough. You watch them for a bit of cool entertainment because it is. Yes, they've made it up, but it's kind of exciting. Oh, he was running. It makes you want to do a ghost hunt. 9 out of 10 ghost hunts are calmer. Less happens because they're not scripted. You start off with a little bit of history and you go to a place where it happened and you hope for the best. Eckles Hall delivered at every level. Laughter, no question, that was a child laughing. And the more you guys at home go back to that place, wallop the volume up, you'll hear it even more clearly. You saw the ghost figure coming through from the black mass of the smoke, because that wasn't smoke. The whole reason we use the smoke, and a few people have asked, is that ghosts are quite often seen moving through other masses, like sea fret and fog. And one of the most vivid times I've ever seen spirit on a road was actually driving down the A1 on the hill where the Blagden Road meets the A1 heading up towards Morpeth. There was sea fret right across the road, and I saw something making a path through the fog, but there was nobody there. But it was man size, just going through the fog, and you think, I don't even know how you could replicate that. But you've just seen kind of that happen, yet the figure kind of moved sideways and then moved directly towards where the camera was. So but this is again Eckles Hall. One thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens, and off you go. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, how come it's so busy? I believe it's because nobody's looked there before. And whatever was there was fascinated by the fact that we were doing something that this is like, what's going on? We were devoting all of our time for that entity or those entities that are there. And I think they kind of liked it. And also, there are certain techniques I use to stir up the energy that's in there, because you need the energy to know that you're there. Sometimes people go in and they think they're doing that, but they're just sitting chatting, or talking, or saying a few things, and you need to do a little bit more than that. So anyway, Eckles Hall was absolutely dynamite. You got any more bits then, Tor?
Well, you just seen Kenny check all the doors there, and they seemed locked. This is when it opened for me.
I checked it before him.
Did you stamp?
No.
I thought it was you.
No. I thought it.
So it's back to that run again.
It sounded over there, but I thought it must be you because it was an obvious stamp.
Everything's in the same spot.
Yes.
No, that was me. That was me. I just did that. But it was louder than that, I think. Whatever's here is messing.
Why though?
If it's a kid, they might just be playing.
Well, through the teddy bear.
Oh, that's a thought. I'll bring Ted out. Yeah. This will go off when I come up here, probably.
I'll show them inside the...
Is he going off again?
Nothing in there, really. Kenny, was this locked for you? It's just open for me. Oh my God!
Oh my God, it was locked!
Oh God! I've got shivers down my spine when that opened there.
How did you open it?
I didn't. I touched it and it kind of flung open.
Johnny, they're all locked.
Oh God!
I swear to God.
I've just got a shiver down the back of my spine there. I didn't even have to turn it much. It kind of flung open.
Jesus Christ, man.
I thought they were all locked.
They were. The part on that one, the end one, that was locked. 100% that was locked. What did you do?
I just turned it and it kind of flung open.
Flung open.
Like, yeah, it wasn't like, I didn't put any force on it.
I swear to God, we tried them all.
As soon as it opened, I got a shiver down my spine. As soon as it opened, I got a shiver down my spine.
My God. They were all 100% locked. I tried them. Alan, I tried them, they were locked. That one was open, it was the only one that wasn't open.
I nearly died there.
You get it, it's with camera.
Well, no, I don't know, like, it just kind of flung open when I tried the handle. It wasn't, I didn't
When
put
you
any
say
force
flung
on it.
open, did you fling it open?
Well, I didn't pull hard, but it flung, you saw how wide it opened.
I was trying them all before.
They were locked.
They were all 100% locked.
That's.
I did this.
But you would have heard if I'd put any force on it.
Is that locked down?
No. No, you can't shut it.
That was locked.
It hasn't got it.
It was locked.
But it hasn't got a thingy, so it cannot lock.
It's got a key lock there.
Yes, but the thing's knackered in it. Look,
It was
You
locked.
see, you need that to be out,
Right.
and it's not going out. So
It was locked. I tried them all like this, it was locked.
Kenny,
I thought you tried them all.
Kenny, pull it, open it.
It's locked. What the hell?
I couldn't open it. I
What
looked.
is going on here? What the hell is going on here? Do you know what it, and I'm not just, I saw it over there as well, and over there,
Inside.
yeah. I cannot explain that. You know your 5%?
Yeah.
That's your 5% there.
Yeah.
You've tried them twice now, when we first come in and then there.
You want to see what's in them?
I don't know what drew me to try it, to be fair. God.
I definitely 100%.
How about that? But that again just shows you this was a fairly short sequence. I mean, if you put all of that together, you probably got 15 minutes. Boom. One after another, after another, after another. Quite something. I love the fact that when you start to dissect it and you really listen and you really look, because just by looking, I found a child giggling and a entity walking through the fog from the machine. That's spectacular stuff. And you can say, "Oh, I didn't think there was." Fair enough. I've seen enough of them to know that was a something. What was it? A something. And we saw it together for the first time, which makes it even better. It makes you wonder whether we should just have some nights where we just put one on and dissect it, the whole thing, take it apart, because we would find an awful lot more. And how many shows have we done now? A couple of hundred, 230 or 240?
Probably missed loads, to be fair.
Oh, there's no question about that. Right, you got any more
Yeah.
Eckles?
Yes, last one where the light goes out.
Well, that's
Now, this
exactly.
was just unbelievable.
Because this is benign.
Yeah.
But there's stuff here. And I don't think there's been any that we've ever done that's affected Tony as much. I've not seen Tony affected this way since he saw a full-bodied apparition, first time in his life, in Bamborough Castle. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe it's been just teasing me or something, because so much has happened. And
So we're leaving. If you want to just leave us with a fond goodbye, now is the time to do it. We thank you, we honor you, we bless you, we thank you for spending some time with us. Is there any sign, any message, just to bid us a fond farewell? Do it now. Make that. What the
bloody
hell?
hell! My light just went off.
Jesus Christ, Tony!
Oh my God! I feel like there's a cold bloody breeze around me, honestly.
What?
Tony, it's definitely you tonight.
Oh my God!
That was
Are we still live?
Yes,
that
I
was
think
the
so.
weirdest thing.
Whoa!
God, my heart to my mouth.
Shit. I feel totally drained.
I don't want to leave you. I think there's more to come.
Dear. Come on then.
God.
Alan, if it's little Alan, we'd love to hear from you, Al. Come on. Make some noise. There should be three. There's one there.
Where?
There on the floor. Did you hear that? Like a creaky noise.
God, my heart is racing.
So where's the third one? I don't know. Where's the third ball, Tony?
Is it not near Ted?
It could be on the...
Just non-stop in there.
Whenever has that light gone off?
Well, never. It's always reliable. Always. Never gone off. So
And what we have to do before every show is across the day charge up the amplifier. We have to charge up the torches. It's a day of charging up everything. We have to charge up everything we got, and we always come to you guys with 100% charge. Now, we have had moments where we've started with 100% charge, and within 10 minutes, it's 34%.
oh yeah,
We've had a lot of loss of, but that's common with when you're dealing with other energies. But you heard how shocked Tony was the moment that light went off, and it just suddenly, because we didn't have any torches on, because if you've got Tony's light in a small area like that, it's enough to light the whole room up.
yeah.
And it's what I said at the very beginning, that Eckles Hall, from the very, very beginning, right your way through to the very, very end, there was stuff going on. And I know, Eckles Hall especially, if you go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and I only needed to see it a second time to spot the laughter and to get the apparition. An apparition on a camera.
Crazy.
They're not as easy as you think. My favorite's still that one that happened in that castle next to the farmhouse where we were just doing the intro and two ghosts were behind us moving around. Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah.
That wall shot. I still think that's one of the greatest captures ever made. Because I was completely unaware of it. And I didn't find out about it until the Jarrah Parra, I think it was, sent a video in saying, do you realize what you've caught here? And the answer to that question was that we had absolutely no idea at all. So Eckles Hall, thank you, and thank you again. Ersden in general, because we had Gemma at the beginning and we had the Eckles crew at the very end. And I thought that gave it a nice kind of round feel for a show. So thank you very much indeed. We'd love more of the same. We want as much as possible. There you go. Jenny H. Loving how freaked out Tony is because he's usually so unflappable. Necropink, assuming Tony didn't switch his light off. That is amazing. I don't think it was Tony, as I know for sure that you would never fake anything. So, wow. No, we don't, and there's no point if we did. Garfield, it was Deaf Tony's turn. I wonder when people were last in there. People weren't, though. I mean, when you say when were people last in there, the brownies were in, because we saw all the kids leaving with their parents about I think it was about half an hour before we started. Wasn't that about right?
I think so, yeah. We had to wait until the left, didn't we? So
the brownies were in there before us. Heather Holiday, brilliant show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Well done, guys. Thank you. No, thanks a lot. Did Kenny have a camera on? Would be amazing when Tony's light goes off and he feels cold of Kenny has a camera on him. Have you looked at that moment?
No, Kenny looks like he's pointing at you, looking at you. He's looking down the hall.
All right, so you've had a look. So we weren't pointing. Hey, it was what it was, and everybody got a shock. There's no question about, like, and this is the wonderful thing about that is that we've never, we talk about other ghost shows saying, 20 minutes in, we'll go into that room and this'll bang and you'll run out and you'll shout. And that's what they do. They set it up and then they edit the whole thing together and they say, stop the camera, now we'll do this. And then they edit it all together so that it looks seamless and that all of this stuff's going on. But then they're designing it. That's why they have to put for entertainment purposes only at the end. We don't put that because we don't. And we've never had an ending like that in not even in any of the radio shows we've done. We've never had anything like that. So thrilled, absolutely thrilled that we got what we got. I want a show like that every week. I know when I'm going to get it. I know, wouldn't it? Absolutely. But we keep knocking on the door and seeing who answers. That's essentially what we're doing. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. Now, before we move on, we got some more clips from some more places. But before we do that, I want to quickly answer a question from where's the name?
Maz has a couple of photos from that hunt.
Oh, let's do it.
Well.
Let's finish Eckles off.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Looks like two kids playing.
It does. In the
Following me
smoke.
about. Following the leader, the leader. How about that? Nice catch, Maz. Good girl. Oh, what's that? On top of the... Now, first of all, it looks like a potential full figure on your left. Start at the left. In the middle of the whiteness,
Yeah.
there's something there. I don't understand what the black thing is, because above those cupboards at the bottom, there's like a small roof. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the black thing? I never noticed that when I was there.
No, well, it didn't have a roof on it, did it? It was more,
Yes.
There were open roofs, weren't there?
Oh, good grief. Yes, they were.
So it couldn't be anything on the roof because
No, 'cause,
you
no,
could
they
see
were
through.
Yeah, that's just open. Oh, that's interesting. And I'm not sure I get the third one, mate, out of all of them. Do you?
No, the third, maybe a little shadow in the middle.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
And there's one more.
Oh, there's a dark shape in there, isn't there?
Definitely. Definitely.
And I'm obviously too frightened to look. Hey, well done, Maz. No, good job. And this is what I mean about going. You can go through it frame by frame, and there's stuff going on. Sean Parry. That's what makes these shows authentic. That we get everything in real time. Sean, I understand that, but the thing that you've also got to nearly hippied it up there. So the things you really got to dig, man. The things you've also got to be aware of, that when the Sunday show gets put together, that's when you get all of Kenny's bits. Not all of them, but the ones that sometimes his camera's facing up in the air.
Up his nose.
Because it's
So it's somewhere, not.
excuse me, that's Kenny. But if we catch anything on Kenny's camera, then that's integrated into the show. And I know sometimes, Tony, you've got both cameras on screen at the same time, haven't you?
Yeah, sometimes
when he does that. So
yeah,
it's just, you can sometimes catch more, Sean. I understand that you want it live, and I would too. And then if anything goes wrong, you kind of understand, oh, well, they're going to cut that out on it Sunday. Absolutely. But we do it in a way so that you see step by step, bit by bit, everything that we do. It's like playing poker and seeing the hand all the way through. That's how it has to be if we're going to give you the rough mix, and then it shines a little bit more on a Sunday for the casual observer. But I just thought the whole thing really went together in a way that I could never have expected. I'm very happy with that. Now, Marie, she lives in Winlaton. She was born in Winlaton. Her parents were born in Winlaton. And she said in a note, and I can read it to you, "Dear Alan, would you be kind enough to tell me about the witches of Winlaton Mill? A friend of mine says that there's a woman in her street who is presently one of those witches, whose family have lived in Winlaton for hundreds and hundreds of years." Well, I can tell you because, and the reason I can tell you is because back in the day while I was working on radio, the witches of Winlaton cursed me. And let's face it, there's enough bad things happened in my life to think the curse worked. I was very critical of a couple of things that I've seen now. The Winlaton witches operate in two particular places. A small bit of woodland next to Winlaton, obviously, their local patch. But when they're holding late night Sabbats and covens and similar, they go to a much bigger green area, Chopwell Woods. And that's where they go. They all go up in individual cars. They all meet there at a particular time on a particular night, and they go in there and they do stuff. Now, back in the day, back in the time of the witches, the 1600s, the Winlaton coven, even though Winlaton at the time was tiny, but the coven from areas around it, from as far away as Hexham, Corbridge, Waleham at one side, to the coast, they would all gather in the woods that were at Winlaton before they were eventually turned into agricultural land. If you're driving through Winlaton Mill, all of the land to the left-hand side, the land at Rowlands Gill that they used for like a caravan park and so, all of that used to be woodland and forest, all the way down to the river at the bottom and up the banks on the opposite side. And they used to hold black masses. Now, quite often I'll tell you that the vast majority of people who are considered witches, especially the old school pagans, had nothing to do with gods, goddesses. That's modern witchcraft like Wicca and Gardnerianism. But back in the day, a lot of it, nothing to do with gods. It was all to do with nature. And very occasionally, people who were Christian, because remember, only Christians believe in the devil because they created it, or well, they believe in it. The fallen angel fell from heaven, lives in hell. Well, think about it. These ex-Christians, led by a woman called Isabel Gowdy, who was a Scottish witch, very famous Isabel Gowdy. She ended up being executed up in Scotland. She came down and visited the Winlaton Coven. It was such a big deal back then. And Isabel Gowdy went back up to Scotland because she was appalled at what they were doing, because they believed in the devil. And she said, how can you believe in the devil? The devil's a Christian angel. How can you you don't believe in Christianity? Why are you believing in the devil? And yet, the woman who was in charge of the coven in the 1600s was a woman called Suva. Now, she was originally, we believe, from Eastern Europe. Her name was Suva. We think she was Romany. It has been said. I haven't found any proof. I know she existed, but I haven't found any proof where she came from. And she described it as the devil's coven. What she used to do was she would disembowel sheep or disembowel goats, literally cut the stomach open it up, pull out all the innards and entrails and hang them from trees like Christmas decorations all around a central area in the middle of a forest. The goat or the sheep would be led into that area, a central rock being the altar or the would-be altar for that particular meat. It would be slaughtered on the stone. There would be blood all around it. Quite often the blood was caught in a jug and shared around and drank while still warm. So the story goes. If they wanted to curse somebody, and on at least a couple of occasions that we know of, members of the coven were cursed because they'd either been seen going into a church, because it was said if a witch ever went into a church, her blood would boil. It obviously didn't. But on a couple of occasions, Suva discovered that somebody had been in to a church. She'd been spotted by other members of the coven going into a church in Winlaton Mill and coming out again. That means she can't be a true witch. So what Suva would do is she would take the claw of a cockerel and she would sharpen the claw. And then she would strike it across the face of the person that she felt had betrayed the coven. And she would do that whilst all the other members of the coven were chanting, "Come to the Sabbath, Satan's here." There's actually a rock band that took that chant and turned it into a song. It was not a hit. I believe it was an album track. The band are called, if you want to check it out, the band are called Black Widow. And I don't know the name of the song. I think it's Come to the Sabbath, probably. It's probably Come to the Sabbath. Come to the Sabbath. Come to the Sabbath. Satan's there. And of course, Suva believed that she was copulating with the devil. And a lot of these witches would, strip and flagellate and twiddle with their bits and bobs all together while smearing themselves with blood. It was a jolly little party, the kind of thing that you'll be having over Christmas probably. And those that had their faces clawed by the cockerel's claw to curse them died within weeks, or even more horrifying things happened. Because the one thing that was done a lot of around the time of Suva was the smothering of babies, newborn babies. And then when the baby was buried, they would then dig up the baby and keep the body in a jar so that they could, when the skin pickled, they could eat strips of the flesh. Yeah, happy days. They also made a stew, and there's quite a lot of information about the Winlaton Coven that they hate anybody mentioning, because obviously they still exist today. They're not your hairy rock listening, I'm a Wiccan. They're not that kind of person at all, these characters. They made a stew out of spiders, centipedes, cockroaches, bugs. But what they did at the time was they would dig up a long dead corpse, a body that had desiccated and mummified. And then they would peel old flesh off the body, mummified flesh, and put that in the stew with the insects and slugs and any kind of critter they could find. And then they would strain it and drink the juice. Yeah, lovely. The coven still exists. And while I was on air, I did tell probably that story or something very similar to it. And I got a letter from them saying, don't ever talk about us again. We wish to remain in secret, existing without the eyes of the public upon us. How dare you talk about us? And I said, well, as long as you're doing this kind of stuff, the public should know, shouldn't they? You're killing people's sheep and killing people's goats. Now, weirdly, I lived in Chopwell for about 3.5, 4 years. And while I was there, I used to jog every morning through Chopwell Woods. And not regularly, but on at least 3 occasions, I saw animal parts hanging from trees. And you look and you go, oh, what's been going on here? And you keep running. Probably a little bit faster. So whether that's still the case in Chopwell Woods, I can tell you, because I looked up the various criminal acts that have happened in and around Winlaton Mill. And at the trees in Winlaton Mill, in 2019, 3 dogs were found cut open in the woods in Winlaton. Coincidence? Not sure. Doubt it. So they're still at it. Anyway. Now, how many are there? It was said that at one time there was 1,800. Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. Excuse me. The witch curse is getting at me. There was 1,800. I think now, if there are any number of them, they're probably in their 20s, 30s. I'd be surprised if there's more than that. There's a lot of people that are quite happy to be pagans these days. A lot of people quite happy to call themselves witches. But not that kind of witch. That was rare back in the day. So I can't see it being all that. And next time you're walking around Winlaton, realize that some of the families that have been there hundreds and hundreds of years, I'm not saying Marie's family, but those that have chosen to stay there sometimes might have stayed there for a very different reason. Anyway, Tony, back to you, please. There he is.
There we go. We've got a little another message here from Maz, who sent this in on WhatsApp. I'll put the number on if you want to ask a question on Facebook, because I haven't got the chat on here.
Right.
So you just send it via WhatsApp and I'll be able to share it.
Do.
So here we go.
Come in, here it comes. This is Maz, or from Maz. Evening. So we were discussing all things paranormal today, and a colleague threw this into the conversation. Are ghost entities of the spiritual realm the inhabitants of a world that can't be measured or quantified with science? Are they a part of the fabric of another universe we will never understand? What's people's opinions? I know what I believe, just interested to know other people's views. Well, that's fair enough. Mars, thank you very much. I've always said that because it's not an exact science and we can say, oh, it's definitely that. You have to remember that we as human beings only exist on one particular vibration. And all over the room that I'm in now, I've got satellite TV channels flying around, telephone channels, telephone lanes. We've got thousands of forms of energy signals in all directions. We have in this room, there's 150 radio stations. Most are not very good, sadly, but they're there and the access to them is there and we can plug into them. Maybe there are energies there that we can't plug into, but sometimes we catch a glimpse of them and they catch a glimpse of us, maybe. Maybe we're as much of a shock to them as they are to us. And maybe some of the noise that we make, they pick up on. It's fascinating. Is there another realm? I think there's thousands, maybe millions of realms. I think that our understanding of what the world is, if we say knowledge is 100%, we're probably scraping 3, 4, 5. And if you look at how we treat each other, probably less than that. But if you want to stick your opinion in, we'd love to hear it. Clack it on, and Tony will do that. Now, let's move on to another something. Before we go to any more clips, Tony, if you could dig out group 1 of the pics that I sent in, and we'll just go through a few if we can.
I mean, they all come through together. What's group 1?
Yeah, no, but I sent them in 3 separate groups.
I know they only. It's a web WhatsApp I've got, so they all just come in. They don't come in batches.
Oh, well, that's a nightmare. However,
Right.
what I'll do is I'll sit here like young Skywalker and try
Right.
and shoot them down in whatever order they come up in. So,
Right. Well, what I can briefly see what they are. So,
well, I'm looking for things that are associated. Now, today I got sent, and I forwarded it to you, an image from Adam. And it was an image from Ecuador and another image from Mesopotamia.
right.
And it was the same image, yet carved on something. And these are images from something like 8,000 miles apart in the ancient world. That's not it. That is some of the characters from the Nazca lines in Peru. Now, most of you know that I flew over the Nazca lines, and we did a show, and this was actually part of some of the TV show, The Scariest Places, that I was in. It was the people who ran that gave me the opportunity to go and fly. Now, do they look like human beings to you, Tony?
No, they look like what's that cartoon character called? One of them, anyway.
Well, the one on the left, I think, looks insecty, actually, a bit.
Yeah.
And the one on the other, people have claimed that that's a helmet that he's wearing. Don't know whether you could go that far. But the fact is, there's many, many more Nazca figures. And what does that look like to you, Tony?
Definitely a computer. Definitely.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I know.
Keep going. Let's have some more Nazca. Does that look like a man sitting back in a control and operating various gadgets? For example, if you'd never seen buttons, digits, and a spaceship, and suddenly you looked in and there was a man lying on his back operating all this stuff, would it look a bit like that in your mind's eye? Handles and buttons and similar? Let's have the next one, too. Does that look like he's breathing oxygen from a tube?
Yeah.
And he's sitting back in that same position, like in a proper chair. Now, you've got to remember, this is at a time when they didn't have
Chairs.
lay-back chairs. And if you notice where his right arm, he's like adjusting a button with his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you follow that down, you'll see another tube attached to his suit that goes into something like a big ear at the bottom. Are you seeing that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And if you look at his left hand, it looks like he's got his hand on a lever.
Yeah, like a gear stick could be.
Yeah, but there you go. So how do you explain all of this stuff? Keep going, because each one brings us a bit closer. He's operating a machine, isn't he?
Yeah. I wonder what kind of machine.
I've no idea. A gun? A weapon?
Yeah, it could be a gun or a weapon.
Yeah, that's what, who knows? But the fascination is the fact that these exist at all. Now, this was taken, it's the same image, I think, but this was taken from 300 years earlier, from about 400 miles away from where the other one was,
Mm-hmm.
which even 400 miles back in a day where to travel 400 miles is a fortnight, I just think it's very cool. Let's have the next one, Tom. Now this, do you see the two pieces of stone?
Right, yeah, at each side.
Yes. Now, what the thing is in the middle of the stone, now the stone is prehistoric, so we're talking 1,000 years old, right? But the thing in the middle of it is a battery, similar to what that champion creature is now. That's what's in the stone, which I think is quite cool. There may be some geological way of doing it, but the scientists who found it, who literally dug it out of the rock, they believe it absolutely, because it's not anything that's manufactured. It's one of those things that they class as being inexplicable. Who knows? Let's have the next one. Thank you. There's a drawing from Egyptian times. What is this?
Crazy, isn't it?
Would you say they're UFOs?
Definitely, without a doubt. You can't really. What else could it be?
What else could it be? Absolutely.
What else could it be?
And there's a cave. There's a cave drawing. And now, if you look at the one close up with the big eye, look behind it at the other ones that seem to have legs. Now, do you remember the film War of the Worlds? Where the spacecraft land and they have the long legs?
Mm-hmm.
That's a cave painting from a long time ago. And do they not look a bit more like aliens than human beings?
Yeah,
look at the head.
Definitely. I wonder who drew them or carved them.
Absolutely. I think the whole thing's... There's another one from a cave. Now, that's two people fighting with a weapon that we don't even know what it is. Do you see they're both holding one in their left hands? But it's important because that's their left hand. So therefore, in their right hand, could it be a shield? Could it be a sword?
Could it be a helmet as well?
And they're both wearing helmets, absolutely. So it's either something coming down to fight with human beings, or I think the helmets are slightly different. One is a full helmet, the other is a helmet where you can see a head in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it may well be that there's two types of alien creature together, maybe fighting one another, because that's what it looks like. And again, an ancient carving, ancient painting on a wall. I just think this whole Nazca thing, and the reason I mention it is because they found a skeleton there, and they've
this one, is it?
No, that is another. But look at the shape of the head.
Yeah.
They found a couple of skulls. These are genuine skulls. Now, there's an African tribe of women who bind their babies' heads with not a turban, because it's African, not Asian, but they bind the babies' heads to make the head shaped like an alien. Now, why? Because they have in their history stories of people that traveled from the clouds and from the stars in their ancient culture, and they wanted their children to look like the people who came from the stars. Now, so this could be the head of a human baby that's been formed over the years to be a long, thin skull, alien-esque skull, which I think is amazing. Rock on with the next one, Tony.
Another skull.
Now, that looks
Crazy
totally...
mouth. Well, teeth
Yeah,
area.
people had a look at that, and it's made of skull material, but they're not convinced that it's human. So I think they've got hold of an animal skull and somebody's jiggery poked with that, because it's too ET for words. So we're not sure, because those teeth look like they've never opened. However, now, no, that is the skeleton of an alien that they found close to the Nazca lines. And they've x-rayed it, and it's got an exoskeleton. It's got an internal skeleton like ours. Let's have a couple of pictures of the critter. And that's how it looks. Yes. If you x-ray that, it's got bones, it's got teeth, or he or she, or I'm not sure. There's a few more pictures of the examination of how they found it. They can't explain it. And they say that the fingers are incredibly long, the feet are slightly different to ours. Scientists have gone crazy with it, and they've discovered that it has got an internal skeleton like we do. Not that that means anything other than, could it be a fake where they've put a human body in there? But it matches the shape of the outside, which is quite fascinating. So whether you believe or whether you don't, we always say discount 95% and look for the 5% that you, and then we're back to and that looks like a child's cartoon character. However, other people have said, no, it's one of the creatures with a helmet. But I think you also have to, and then we're back to the actual Nazca lines themselves. Now, this is what I saw from above. That's the spider, or the tarantula, they call it. That's the tarantula. Now, these, nobody's ever mentioned these. These kind of pits are all over around the area of the Nazca lines. There's about 30 or 40 of these, and nobody knows why and what they were used for. They've been examined all the way down. There's burn marks there at the very, very bottom, as if maybe some kind of landing craft has had to fire engines up and burn their way up to the stars again. You could say that, or it could be a burial pit, but there's no human remains down there or animal remains. And if it was a burial pit, that's what you'd find. So what are they? Nobody knows. Next one, Tom. That's I'm just trying to remember what that is. Oh no, there's two circles. That's the right-hand part of it. The next picture should be the left-hand side of it. There it is. There's two circles side by side of Nazca lines. Just concentric circles. That's all they are. Next one, Tony. What's that? I think they call that the cougar. Doesn't look like any kind of cougar that I've ever seen, unless they're just lousy at drawing. But you have to remember, can you see the pathway, Tony?
Yeah.
Bottom right. That gives you some kind of scale. This is one of the smallest of the Nazca paintings, and yet it still probably runs 70, 80, 100 feet, maybe, from end to end.
Wow.
And why would you do it? That, if you look at that, there's some kind of strange creature with long legs and a tail pointing up. And the next one, that's the monkey. It's a spider monkey, and the circle at the end is its tail in a spiral, in a circle. But that's, they call that the spider monkey, and that they call the spaceman, because they say it looks like the people that landed in Nazca back in the day. They call that the spaceman. That's the hummingbird with the long beak. And if you think hummingbird, that is kind of what they look like. The difference is, from one end to the other end of this hummingbird is close to 1/2 mile. Now, just imagine how long it would take you to put that amount of detail in areas covering that amount of ground. remembering that you can't see it
Crazy.
you can't see, when you're on the ground, you can't see it. You can't see any of it. It's cut into the earth. Now, you never ever see this. This is the Nazca lines from much higher. Because when people only show you like 3 or 4, this is half of them. You should have the other half, Tony. There's the other half. Amazing, isn't it?
Crazy.
Now, the creature that's on the far right at the moment that we looked at in closer detail before, it looks... what kind of creature has 4 legs that are long like that and 2 tails? I haven't got an answer for all of these, but that's fascinating. That's a child spirit that somebody took in 1952. Do you see the little boy in the middle?
Oh, yeah.
They say that was the ghost of a child that burnt alive in the room, and he comes back with his little Jimmy Jams on.
Wow.
And shows himself to the family. Oh, hang on. There's Kenny.
I'm here.
Excuse me. Sorry for coughing. Thank you, Kenny. Now, Kenny at the present moment is in Newcastle City Centre. He's doing the Newcastle game. Has it kicked off yet? Must have done.
It's kicked off, yeah. Yeah, loads of people went to the match and that. Do you want a quick look at what it looks like downstairs?
Yeah, please, show us.
Right, I'll just show you what the crowds are like downstairs and stuff and what it's like in here, because it's absolutely rammed. I mean, a lot of people have went to the match, but you'll hear all the noise in a second.
So apologies for the mess of the picture, but he's lagging. Yeah. Signal's crap, but thanks to Kenny for trying.
It's so noisy. I'll talk again in a minute, but I'll show you what it's like. As you can see,
Yeah, it's chocker. I think our ghost footage was clearer than that.
so yeah, doing the pre-match warm-up and stuff, being absolutely mad. But we'll talk about ghosts now.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've just been
in the office where it's a little bit quieter.
All right, mate. Well, will you get there? Then we'll
Hear
chat.
any of that?
I heard bits. You're lagging so much that you're almost like delay. But not to worry. We've just shown some pictures of Eckles Hall, and we've caught.
Yeah.
Just by looking at it back, I've found a full-bodied entity, and we heard a child laughing in the hall.
Oh, brilliant. You
Mind-blowing,
can't
isn't
ask
it?
for any more than that, can you?
What's your view on now that you've had a chance to think about Eckles Hall? What's your feeling of it? Because you were there.
I loved Eckles Hall. I thought it was one of the best ones we've ever done. Ever.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff happening. And like you said, we went in there thinking this isn't going to happen much. It's one big hall. There's no extra rooms and stuff. And yet from the word get-go, things were happening. Like the first thing was the balls went off, didn't it? And then the football rolled and touched the other ball and set that one off. Then it rolled off the stage. Then Suki was just going off all the time. There was noises. There was banging from underneath. There was footsteps. That thing somehow or other fell off behind the curtain, didn't it? And then ended up on the stage. That door opening behind Tony. The things at the window. There were so many things happening. In fact, we probably could have done another 2 hours there. Do you know that?
Yeah, no, comfortably, absolutely.
We probably could have. Yeah.
No question. And the thing, if a few people were asking, why do you think it was like that? And I think it's just there was a place that had stuff in it for years, and nobody's ever been in there looking. I do believe that that's probably why it kicked.
I would agree with that, because if no one's went in there, no one's looking for them, the spirits haven't got anyone to talk to, then all of a sudden we're there and they've got a chance to say, look, we're here. This is what we're going to do. then yeah, I think we should do more places like that where no one has tried anything. Do you know, like places where no one's been in, they haven't got a reputation for anything. Go there and just see what's there, and maybe we can find. We can find the places that are most haunted rather than the ones that advertise that are haunted with ghosts and everything else.
I think it's a balance between the two. Sometimes you go to a place that says they're the most haunted and you get in there and they are. So we want them too. But this was just a hidden gem, I think it was an absolute hidden gem without question. I know you've got to get back to do your thing. Out of all of the stuff that happened, what was your highlight there then? What was the one thing? Because, you know, I always say look for the 5%, look for the thing that can't be anything else. What was the moment that you knew for certain that what was there was real?
Right. This for me was the moment when Suki went off. We're all sitting there channeling. Suki went off, and then straight away we heard them footsteps at the same time. And then right at the end, when you said, "Give us a sign," and Tony's light just went off exactly at that moment.
Now we've seen that. We've seen that. And Necropink made the point, and I always say to everybody, think what else it could be. And he said, if that wasn't Tony switching it off, and we know for a fact that it wasn't, and
it wasn't.
Tony
wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
No, well, none of us would. But
no, he wouldn't.
But he'd still write the question. No question about it. We still has the question. Tony's reaction said it all for me. And you and I were, 5-10 feet from where he was?
Yeah.
That was like, and we all kind of went, oh, because suddenly, because it was pitch black in there. I mean, there was no other light. It just went, it went from his light to no light. And we all jumped. A little bit of wee might come out. We all jumped.
It was crazy. It was, like I said at the time, this is one of the best ones we've done.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, well, thanks for popping by. Entertain the socks off at half time, because it isn't half time till what, 1:45?
Yeah.
1:45. Yeah. Anyway, good luck. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Take it
easy. See you later.
Look forward to it,
Let's
Ken. Thanks. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Well, we said that he popped by, and there he was. He's grafting and keeping us up to date. It's very, very good indeed. So we've covered NASCAR lanes. Back to you, Tony. If you're there, anywhere abouts.
Yeah, I'm back. I got kicked out. I think it was Kelly's bad signal. But yeah.
We got what we could.
Yeah, so I'm just going back to this. It's Assembly Room Scream.
Oh, yes, please. Now,
supporters stream. So I've never heard this. I've just got the time, so hopefully it's the right time.
Right. Let's hope so. Turn your volume up, everybody.
Yeah, so about a minute in, you should hear a scream.
A minute in.
Didn't give them a headstone, didn't give them a name, and for that reason, it said that the spirits of the dead plague victims still move around this area. Because they were taken from the church there, set fire to. It's not great. But stories galore. The very first time that Newcastle United won the FA Cup. Newcastle fans, do you know when that was? I bet you don't. 1910. They celebrated here. The Duke of Wellington celebrated defeating Napoleon here. Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, here. King George and Queen Mary, here. Mark Knopfler, here.
Oh, I heard that.
Brian Johnson here.
Did you hear that? I'll go back a little bit.
Here.
Yes, I heard it.
There's a big scream there. So
let's give them it again.
Here. Prince Albert, here.
Turn it up.
King George and Queen Mary, here.
It's coming up.
Mark Knopfler, here.
Yeah. There it was. And look at this.
That's
Johnson. The balcony where the lady jumped from. No, look at it.
Here. This was a place for the special, for the gifted, for the prestigious. Why do you
Oh,
think I'm here? But what a place. We've had voices, screams,
oh, look at these.
knocks,
Look at
bangs,
this
rustles.
craziness.
Haven't seen anything. We found Elizabeth scrolled, but
The cameras hopefully have.
yeah, I hope so. But on the rods, didn't confirm that the girl that jumped was Elizabeth. I mean, that's not conclusive by any stretch, but just begs a lot of questions. Well, now is the very moment for our host to come and let us out. We've got to head in that direction, but you can come with us. Come on in. Let's get.
Can I'm sorry to do this, but I'm not looking at because you're looking. Oh, there's an orb, and I see him. Look in the mirror, Tony. Go back to that footage with the orbs. Just look in the mirror. Do
The
you
Duke
see
of
a woman
Wellington
in a ball gown?
celebrated
That's my question.
defeating Napoleon.
In a ball gown.
Here. Queen
Do
Victoria.
you see a ball gown?
Prince
All
Albert.
right. This
Here.
may be a step too far,
King
even for
George.
me.
Scream's
and
coming up
Queen
now
Mary.
as well. Couple of seconds.
Mark Knopfler. Here.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson here. Alan Shearer here.
Do you see the shape that
was
changes
a
in the
place-
mirror, Tony?
For the special.
The white,
For
the
the
white
gifted.
one.
Yes.
For the prestigious.
Yeah, I see a white something
Why
in the
do you think
mirror.
I'm here?
Is it a ball gown?
It could be actually.
But what a place. We've had voices, screams, knocks, bangs, rustles. Haven't
Just
seen
look at it. It's
anything.
not stopping. It's
We found
moving.
Elizabeth
Isn't it?
scrolled, but
The cameras
I think so.
hopefully
It's
have.
there's
yeah, I
movement
hope
in the
so.
mirror.
But
Yeah. So I
on
mean,
the rods
and it
didn't
shouldn't be.
confirm that the girl.
That camera's
that
still,
jumped
isn't
was
it?
Elizabeth.
It's
I mean,
still, yeah, there's
that's
no one
not
else there.
conclusive by any stretch, but
and orbs
just
by the
begs a lot of
1,000.
questions. Well, now is the very
Brilliant.
moment for.
And can I just apologise for the amount of dust on me hat and me sleeves and all that? It was a dusty place.
It was.
However, even when you just stare in the mirror, there was something there that was moving. What? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Did you right, so that's the assembly rooms. Have we got anything else assembly-ish?
Not there, but I've got the scream from the cemetery.
Right, well, it wasn't a scream, it was a laugh.
Oh, the laugh. Sorry. Yeah,
A laugh?
kids screaming, laughing. I haven't heard it. It's just the time. I
You
was
just got the
tense.
time. Let's hope we can get this one too. Now, hang on a second. Warren Whitehead. Cheers, Warren. He said at this time he heard something that he said was the best proof of spirit that he'd ever had. I haven't heard it. Tony hasn't heard it. Hopefully we can hear it together. Tony did try and find this for us once before, and it wasn't the moment.
It's the wrong
Well,
time, I think. So.
Let's hope this is.
January 29th, 1935, aged 20 years. Cecil,
About 30 seconds.
Right.
accidentally killed.
But he's only 20 and he says
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah. That's unusual, that though, isn't it? Bottom bit like
I don't understand. It's almost like it's a doorway.
Yeah. Something that says an old name.
Did you hear that?
Did he have that? What was it?
Ow!
Gotta be careful, yeah. Septimus is an old name.
I've just heard something.
I heard something there.
That's
Did
it,
you
isn't
hear
it?
anything there, Tony?
Yeah.
That was it. It sounded like a laugh.
Can you can you turn it up at your end and I'll turn it
No,
up?
you
at
have to just turn. Everyone has turned their speakers up. That's as far as it'll go
I don't know
on
what it
here.
was.
Right, well, I've turned mine up a bit.
Did you hear that?
Did he have that? What was it?
Did you hear that?
Did he have that? What was it?
That's before that,
Ow.
Tony.
No, it's the 33. That's
Okay,
it's after.
right.
That's unusual, that though, isn't it? Bottom bit like
I don't understand. It's almost like it's a doorway.
Yeah. Something that says an old name.
Did you hear that?
Did he have that? What was it?
Ow!
Gotta be careful, yeah. Septimus is an old name.
I've just heard something.
I heard
That was it. There, I'll just go back a tiny bit. It was definitely a laugh of some kind.
Did you hear that?
Did he have that? What was it?
Absolutely
Ow.
was.
Gotta be careful, yeah. Septimus is an old one.
I've just heard something.
I heard something there.
That was definitely a laugh.
And it was totally different to the laugh that we heard in the Eckles Hall as well.
Septimus is an old one.
I've just heard something.
I heard something.
We got 2 laughs in one night. That's amazing. Well done, Warren. That's tremendous.
That
How
was
good is this?
That was just amazing. That was a laugh, definitely.
That was a laugh.
There was no one else around there. I mean, who would have been out in the freezing cold?
No, but I heard it clearer there.
Yeah.
When I was at the graveside, what I heard wasn't that. I heard a different kind of noise. And Kenny and that, neither of us said, have you just heard a child laughing? Because I didn't think we did. I thought it was a different noise. I thought it was like whispers. But so it was nearer maybe your mic than mine.
Yeah. But then I would have heard it.
Yeah.
Or
Did you not, did you hear it as a laugh?
I don't even. It doesn't. Nothing. I don't remember anything like
And
hearing
that's what I
anything.
mean. Don't get it. Don't get it. But anyway, we didn't mention it in the blah because we'd heard a few noises, but nothing that specific. But now you play it back. That's as specific as you get. Well done, Warren. You are spot on. And thank you very much. And Warren did what I ask you guys to do. If you hear something or see something and you want something looked at by us or replayed, just jot down the time and then send it to us like Warren did and result away. Then we're absolutely there. Somebody also said, should you carry out a seance on Christmas, around Christmas? Well, a lot of people say you shouldn't mess with what you don't understand anyway, and there's a strong argument for that. However, I did find the only story of a Christmas seance with anything negative happening, and it was a woman called I don't want to give her surname. In 1974, Christine G. Did a seance on Christmas Eve in the crossover from Christmas Day into Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, and at 4 o'clock in the morning of Christmas Day, her house burnt down. The dog was killed. Her father and mother were both badly burnt. She managed to get out with just smoke inhalation problems. So I haven't found any other stories, but you just need one of them to make you think, well, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we'll not bother with that. And also, another question. This one came in from Paul, who is obviously a supporter, and said his girlfriend is Jewish. And he said he hasn't wanted to ask her. She's your girlfriend. You should talk about everything. However, do Jewish people believe in ghosts? Well, yes, they do. Jewish rabbis can see and sense demons. They say that everybody has demons to the left and to the right of them, and a good rabbi can see and sense those demons. They feature in the Jewish holy book, the Talmud. They believe that spirits and ghosts are around us all of the time, as written in Berakot 6, section A. They have creatures that possess you called the Daibuk. They have others that possess you while you sleep called the Ibhir. And they also have the Golem. And the Golem are ghosts, poltergeists and spirit. The Golem. They also believe that because the power of life is so strong, they've discovered, or they believe, what science proves, that energy can't be destroyed. They believe that the power of life is so strong that even after death, the energy remains and has to go somewhere. And sometimes it comes around us in the places that we go and the places we visit, and some places are more stained than others. The Jewish people believe that. The vast majority of Jewish people maybe are not aware of it, but the rabbi knows the rules, and that's what they totally and utterly believe. Right, Tony, back to you. Have you got any more bits from anywhere else, or are we done?
No, I'm just checking the messages now, but if you've got anything, you can send them in. If
you've got any messages, please do. Now is the time for any questions. I've sent you some more pictures if you just want to rattle through everything else you've got,
Yeah.
and we'll just I will Star Wars it again. It's always like you never quite know what's going to come. That's the little boy.
I had that one. Yeah.
You did. That was caught on a CCTV camera in someone's back garden.
Oh, God.
But he said it wasn't, if it would have been a human being, they come out as solid. That wasn't solid. And it moved across the garden. You don't want to see one of them in your back garden, do you?
No,
on your
definitely not.
CCTV. That's a ghost child in a pub. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it's because the counter's at the top. So, yeah, definitely a short
Yeah,
person.
absolutely. Yeah, it's, well, they said it was a child, so we take their word for it. What's the next one? Oh, right-hand side bottom. Nun-like thing.
Yeah, it looks like a bride, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they call it the white nun because it's on one of those like CCTV that turns black-white.
Right. Like maybe night vision.
It's probably night vision then.
Yeah.
There you go. Any more? Any more?
They don't look ghostly, these ones.
No, they're not. These are on Robson's World. We do a thing called the baggage reclaim, where if anybody wants to help support the channel, they go on to the Robson's World website, and anybody that helps the channel are instantly given for each help they give us. They get a like a ticket, and then each ticket's given a number, and then the numbers are drawn, and you can win goodies from New York this time. There's that, and there's should be two others: the Cap, New York City, and then there should be. No, that's not it at all. No, yeah. Well, go back to the last one. No, do it.
No. I'm trying to look for another bit of. Whatever.
That's all right. That's fine. It'll come. Do you know what that is, Tony?
No.
Santa Claus.
Dragon Santa Claus.
Santa Claus,
right.
when he first appeared as a thing, would travel around giving gifts to poor people. But if a child was naughty, the child would be taken away and given to his number two, who grabbed them with his tongue and beat them to the bone with his birch twig.
Wow.
So that's what you get if you're naughty around Christmas. And the next picture that you went on to is, and somebody sent me a thing in, there will be a show before Christmas about this very subject. Satan and Santa anagrams.
Look like friends.
Anagrams of one another. Well, they do there. The question is Satan Santa? And is Santa Satan? And a lot of people say, what if God is the devil and the devil's God? And we should actually be worshipping the devil. Because let's face it, every war that we've ever had has been over religion. So could that really be God being the evil one and the devil being the good one? So we kind of look into that. It's fascinating. It's coming. So just with it being coming up to Christmas, and this is our last chance to have one of these before Christmas, we just thought we'd mention it. Any more? Or are we done?
Robson's World images I can see.
Oh yeah, this is only available until tonight. Ghosts and Ghouls of the Castle Black, Kielder.
This is about on Sunday though, so it'll probably not. It'll be out of date by then, won't it?
Yes, it'll be out of date, but still on the site.
Right.
So you can go. The sale won't be, but it will. So if you fancy it, anyway. Next one, Tony. Hunting the Dead, Demons and Guardian Angels. I know a lot of you have asked me about this. They say my life's gone really peculiar since my parents passed, and will they be able to help you? An awful lot of people absolutely believe that they will. However, there are also creatures that we could call them demons, just because it's a word for dark creatures, dark shadows, dark shapes. They will try and persuade you that they are your parents when they're not. So how do you tell the difference? This is all that's about. And the last one should be, that's out at the present moment, Lakes of Lost Souls. We've been to the lakes a few times, Tony, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Doing ghosty stuff. It isn't out there. We love it. It is. Love it out there. Anyway, that's it. So, finally for us.
There's another...
Oh, necroping again. Those holes at Nazca are believed to be a complex hydraulic system, most likely constructed to retrieve water from underground aquifers I have explanations for the other stuff. Can't go into it on WhatsApp. I'm on the fence about the ancient aliens. Wouldn't completely discount it, as it is possibly true. That's fair enough. Necropink just thinks about everything in a deep way. Are they those things? Well, my question would be, if those pits were built for water, how come there's burn marks at the bottom of them? Just saying. Anyway, the other thing, oh, hang on. Wow, Tony, I didn't. You are an emo proper goth house there. Cool. Haha.
Well, I mean, there's writing on the wall. I think it's blood, and an old chair, and yeah.
It's cool.
It's it is good, but it's sadly not my real room. Just to clear that up.
If you got any more questions, hey, absolutely feel free. Always love them. The devil looks like Jack Nicholson. He did a bit, Sean. No, you're quite right. He absolutely, apart from the horns, of course. But yes, absolutely. I also got a few questions about Christmas. And this happens every year. I get the same kind of thing. And people have said to me, can you go through some of the things to do with Christmas, where they came from and what they were all about? So I thought this is the perfect time, because we're only, I think, about 10 days or so from Christmas Day itself. And where did they get the Christmas stuff from? Now, Santa, St. Nicholas, we've got shows on Robson's World all about that kind of stuff. So I'm going to leave St. Nick alone. However, I can happily go into the pagan thing for you. First of all, your Christmas tree. It's a pagan thing. What they used to do, and we're talking not 5,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, we go back as far as 40,000 years ago. What they would do at this time of year, this is the time of year where the world dies, or at least in the eyes of the Celtic pagan, this is when the snow would fall, the world would freeze, everything's dead. However, just around the corner, through the next curtain, spring, new life, rebirth will begin. So what they did at the time of the death of the year, now I'm not even going to say December, because there was no calendar back then. That's the cool thing, because nature gave you the seasons. They didn't say it's the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, the 29th. There was no dates. Not back then. So at the death of the year, when the world froze, where nature died, getting ready for rebirth, they got an evergreen tree, because the evergreens remain green right the way through the year, and they would decorate the tree. Now, what they used to do back in the old times was they decorate the tree with nuts and berries and foods that hang food stuff from the tree. And the food stuff was to be used by the people who lived in their area, their village, their town, their 3 houses, the individual house. And it would be a treat, and people could run to the tree and say, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. Like they did when we put chocolate tree ornaments on there. Because we are just a reflection of what's gone before. So that's your Christmas tree. Candles. This is the darkest time of the year. So your Christmas candles, and you have your little candle with usually surrounded by some evergreen tree or plastic version of it. Now that candle was necessary because the whole world was dark. So you lit up your home with a candle. Nothing spooky, nothing ghost, nothing. You needed a candle. It was dark. They weren't stupid. That's it. The wreath on your front door, nearly always an evergreen circle. The circle is the symbol of the pagan faith. The circle, the great circle of life, the circle of the year, spring, summer, autumn, winter. your life, childhood through to death, the circle of life. And I know it's very Walt Disney, and you expect somebody to start, you get all of that going off. And they were right about their circle of life too. Then you've got Christmas stockings. Now, the Christmas stocking was actually rarely a stocking. It was shoes originally. And the old-fashioned shoes just used to be large pieces of cloth that you tied on your foot, not with shoelaces. You physically bound it to your foot like a bandage almost, and then tied it on. And they used to have these shoes, and they would put them always next to a fire, an open fire back in the day. And your friends who know you, and they know what you like, they know what you enjoy, and late at night, not on Christmas Eve, because there was no such thing as Christmas, at a particular day of a particular 12 days that led up to the very heart of the winter, the 12 days of, you can't call it Christmas because it didn't exist. This was 38,000 years before there was, arguably, some people don't believe, some people do, before the Christian Messiah, the 9th Christian Messiah, I have to add, because there were 8 before him that could do all the things that he could do. Got to read up about these things. Anyway, the friends of the ordinary person would see, oh, there's Billy's shoes, there's Terry, there's Connie's shoes, there's Gladys. Gladys likes a particular kind of sweetmeat, and I've made some. I'll put that in her shoe. Or this one likes a particular drink, put that in his shoe. This one likes, and they would put little treats, they called them blessings, because that's what they were. They were gifts. They were a kindness that a friend was showing them. And each person, let's say there was 6 of you in the house, 5 people would put a blessing in your shoe, and you would put 5 blessings in their shoes. Shoes then became stockings, that then became like long socks, essentially. And it was stolen across the years. But then there's the festival of Yule. You've heard of the Yule log. The Yule log used to be a great, huge, hefty lump of wood cut from a tree, a log that you would give to a family so they could cut it up, burn it, and stay warm through the coldest and most barren time of year. That was the Yule log. And there's more. Christmas presents. Pagans did that too, but they didn't call them presents. Like presents to us nowadays is kind of sad, I think, because what do you want? I want a new phone. I want my new dress. I want a new hat. I want a new this. I want a new that. And there's stuff we don't need. 90% of them we don't need. We want stuff. Give me stuff. But we don't need any of that, really. Back in the day, and you can't call them Christmas presents because it's 38,000 years before the word had even been thought up. And to be honest, Jesus Christ was only ever written down 420 years after he died. Okay? So you got to remember, this is not as old as you'd think, because the first Bible didn't get written until the 400s. So anyway, so forget the Christmas name. Presents at this time of year started with the pagans. But what they did, and I think it's still the best, but then again, I wouldn't I? The best thing about it was, if a household had lost, say, the man of the house, the gifts would all be food or wood for the fire. It would be drink to allow them to live, barrels of water. It would be all the stuff they needed. If they didn't have many garments would be made for them and given to them as their winter gift, the winter solstice gift. So the things that were given to people were stuff that they needed, that they would die without. Warm clothes, stuff to burn on the fire, food to cook, food to eat. It was literally, they've got no meat. Here's a deer, here's a whole deer. And they'd eat all of it. They'd use the bones for creating implements. Everything had they would waste not a bit. The flesh of the deer would be clothing. So everything had a purpose, not just, here's a bundle of presents wrapped up in stuff we're going to have to throw away, wrapping paper. Here's a lot of tat and ket to make you fat. What they gave back in the day was stuff to keep you alive. And that's amazing. What does your family need more than what do they want? It's worth thinking about. Other things we haven't mentioned, I suppose, the holly and the ivy. Holly and the ivy. Holly represents protection. Some people would place holly bushes around their camp to keep out wild animals and unnecessary people. Holly, pokey, proggy. And they'd have these holly bushes all over the place to scratch and deter. But it was a symbol of protection. You've also got the ivy, which is a symbol of good luck. And once again, some people had ivy growing up around their homes, giving them additional insulation. So you got the holly and the ivy, both with a solid purpose behind it. And the last one of all of the sacred plants, we have to mention mistletoe, because think about it. Mistletoe, what do we do if we're standing under, if somebody's standing, well, not if anybody's standing, if I was standing under the mistletoe, well, you'd pretend not to notice and you'd walk by. But if there's somebody there that's kind of cute and you're unattached, well, you'd snog them. Well, where did that come from? Well, mistletoe was a fertility symbol from back in the day. And you would have a gathering of people, and there's two places we can go here. If you go back 3,000 years to 4,000 years, even as far up as the 1600s, people used to go to a gathering and wear something red in either their hair or their tit-for-tat or their hat. Now, Steel Eye Span, who had a Christmas song called Gaudete Te, you may remember some years ago, they also had a hit, All Around My Hat. All around my hat, I will wear the green ribbon, all around my hat. Now, if you wore a red ribbon, if you wore a green ribbon, it just showed everyone that you were a pagan, the equivalent, I suppose, of wearing a cross or a Star of David or a symbol of your, whatever your chosen faith happened to be. Wearer of the green. If you put red on, you are looking for a partner. You are looking, if you had something red in your hair or in your hat, you are looking for a partner. If you had mistletoe in your hair or your hat, you didn't just want a partner, you wanted to start a family with someone. You are looking for a long-term relationship that would lead to love and babies, fertility. And that's what the mistletoe is all about. And to be honest, right now, it's still used for that purpose. Kenny, who's just been on, always goes out on a Christmas Eve with a bunch of holly stuck down the front of his trousers. But that's just his idiosyncrasy. So anyway, that is the whole pagan, pretty much all of Christmas. Remember, for all those thousands of years, this big celebration at the end of the year, and each facet has been tried to be stolen by the various different religions, especially the Christians. So anyway, Boxing Day, an ancient pagan ceremony on the day after the height of the year. Again, no dates. The day after the height of the year, where it turns to the beginning of spring. And that was to honor Mother Nature. Some say that Boxing Day, and I know some people have said, oh, it was a tip box, because the Christians said, oh, woodwork has made this box, and it's nothing to do with that. The box was the womb. It was the womb of nature about to burst into life and bring the world back to life in spring. That was the original box, a lot of people believe. New Year's, it's the same thing. It's towards the end of the year where you're bursting into the new year. Some people say it was the new moon, the vernal equinox. You'll hear people talking about going into spring. But the pagans believe that the day after the height of the year, now that's the whole 12 days before what we call Christmas, right the way up into the new year. Remember, you forget the dates. It's just that period. But once you get into the day after the height, which most people would call the Christian Christmas Day, the day after was called, or should I say, Christmas Eve into Christmas Day was known as the watch night. And you had to stay awake as long as you know how people stay away. And especially New Year's Eve, everybody stays up and you say, to see the new year in. That's what we all say now. Now, we know Robbie Burns has transformed all that. And we do, for all kindness, we forgot. For thousands of years, they've stayed awake up till the end of the new, to end the old year into the new year. And why do they do that? They do it to watch out for evil spirits. You've got to stay awake because you don't want an evil spirit entering your home before morning. A friend has to enter first footing. Get it? And that's how we still to this day have the first foot. The first person into your home has to be a friend. But you stay awake to make sure that an evil spirit doesn't go in, because if they do, that whole year will be cursed and blackened. So first footing, some people believe it comes from the pagans and the Vikings. Some people believe that too. And when you are a first foot, you're supposed to bring in either a lump of coal, a bottle of something, or cake. They're the three main things. And the reason for that is coal to keep you warm for the next year, because it was originally another log, like the Yule log, boof. Some meat, that's now symbolized by cake, but some food so that you don't starve across the new year, and some drink so you're never thirsty in the new year. So all of that comes back from pagans. And there's also Christmas carols, wassails, they call them, wassailing, was an old pagan custom. And at this time of year, everybody would get together in a small building to be warm around a fire, and they'd all sing, because there's no telly, there's no wireless, there's no internet. So you did what you did. But wassailing was a big thing, and it was chanting, and the chants were nearly always about wanting a good season, to catch lots of fish, for nature to embrace you and embrace those members of your family. So that's what it is. Now, Tony, do you have anything else? Any more questions? Hang on.
No.
Right. So what I'm going to do, I've got
someone
one
asking about the classic show on Sunday, but no, this is going to go out on Sunday because it's just for supporters now. So it'll go out to everyone on Sunday.
In two halves, I suppose. Is that right?
Well, the supporters have already seen it here, so
right.
Maybe not.
Do you want to pull a classic out on Sunday? I mean, I don't mind either way, but I just know that nobody else has seen this, and maybe they'd want to.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And we could use this as an advert for the show.
There will be classic shows over Christmas, like there'll be extra ones added.
Yeah, there'll be extra ones added, but there's new stuff right the way through. So,
we're just got to decide when we're going to put the instead of Christmas Eve, we're going to have the show on, because the Sundays are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, we probably shouldn't put it out on New Year's Eve. We should maybe put it on the Friday or the Saturday before.
Yeah, or the day after. No, probably the day before. I think you're right.
Yeah, the Friday or the Saturday. So we need to whatever people think.
Let's know when do you want it, then we'll deliver it.
Yeah, and on the do you still want the one on Christmas Eve, or should we do that one beforehand as well? Because I know they're both on a Sunday, so just if everyone's going to be busy.
Let us know what you want, and we'll do them to suit the majority of you, because we always do that.
Yeah.
Now, just to wrap up, I thought, because we've been talking there about old-fashioned faith systems, that I would give you a pagan blessing for you and all the members of your family, because we're coming up. And yes, I'm going to be popping up on Christmas and New Year shows, and obviously we've got another corker next week. Oh, that'll knock your socks off, because we've never been to a place like this before. Amazing. It's mostly in, but a little bit out. It's about 70% in, 30% out. Going to be cool. Let's just give you our love and our blessing right now. And this is just as a thanks to each and every one of you, and I sincerely mean every word. To friends old and friends new, we share this blessed time to seek for love and friends true, and health to keep us fine. A toast to those we've loved and lost, strength to them who are ailing. Give us food and drink at little cost as we celebrate wassailing. To those who do not believe as we do, give them kindness and understanding. Give happiness and love as we start a new year, always demanding. So be joyous, be fair, and count blessings. Surround yourself with hope of better days and less of stressing. Let your life make it easier to cope. A blessed solstice to you, and love aglow, with a new year of tales to tell, from our hearts to yours and all who you know. Good bless you, and we wish you well. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this bundle of whatever the hell you want to call it. We thank you for all of your support. Keep spreading the word, and keep getting, be our recruiting agent for new folk to join, because the more that join, the more we can do. And what we're doing, we like to believe, is unique. I know there's a lot of ghost hunting things, and there's an awful lot of not great out there. And we like to think we're doing it the right way. But anyway, until our next hunt and blah, we will say from Kenny, who's away cheering, hopefully, from Hollywood McShane.
Good night.
And from me, Alan Robson, thanks again for everything. Love to you all. Have a great, great time until we're together again. Good night. God bless you. Wish you well. Bye-bye.